Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to Transformers Dark of the Moon, the third installment in this franchise that is about to have a fifth installment. I've already reviewed Age of Extinction, so this is going to be the last review in this series, leading up to The Last Night. This film had a lot to live up to because Revenge of the Fallen was awful. And this is coming from somebody who can watch a Michael Bay movie and just have fun, who isn't going to sit in a theater angry just because he's watching a Michael Bay movie. He's made good movies before, and as I said in my previous reviews, he assembles really well-made productions and is excellent at incorporating CGI and sound design and sound effects and all of these things to make a really entertaining visual experience. But with Transformers, it's the even-numbered entries that I really do not like, 2 and 4. So maybe 5 could actually be okay. Let's talk about 3. This movie opens up connecting the moon landing and President JFK with the Transformers lore. Apparently, Sentinel Prime crashed on the moon and was trapped there for quite some time. We get a CGI JFK, and in present day, the Autobots are getting a lot of heat from the government because the government doesn't like Autobots because, you know, big robots and explosions and shit. And they free Sentinel Prime, eventually causing some serious havoc. And Sam has a new girlfriend because Megan Fox was like, no thanks. So now we have Rosie Huntington-Whiteley because she's a model and she can look like this when things are exploding behind her. Dark of the Moon is weird because you can tell that Bay and his writing team are trying to make a better film than the last one. They actually took some of the criticism. They removed Mudflap and Skids. A lot of the really terrible humor has been removed from this movie as well. That being said, it's replaced with a first act and a second act that's rather dull. We have Sam Witwicky trying to find a job. John Malkovich is his extremely tan employer. Ken Jeong is this conspiracy theorist who works there who gets killed really quickly. I mean, there's all of this stuff in the first half of this movie that just is so dull. And it's sad because you can tell that Bay and his writing team are trying to make a better film, a film with a more coherent narrative. Because that was one of the biggest issues with Revenge of the Fallen. Not just the stupid jokes and the plot that was so jumbled and didn't make any sense. The narrative of that film was just a mess. This time around, they have streamlined it somewhat better. They try to focus on the moon landing stuff and how that somehow relates to Transformers and their past and how it's going to all come back to them now. But this film just gets so bogged down in Sam Witwicky trying to find a job because his new girlfriend is very rich and she works for Patrick Dempsey, who's also very rich and likes to give her cars and really expensive meals. This is all stuff that nobody asked for. Nobody wants this in a Transformers movie. We all just want to see the Transformers. I'm not against Shia LaBeouf at all. I think I've made that pretty clear in my reviews of the Transformers movies. I actually think he's pretty good in these movies, especially this one. He gives a much better performance in this film than he did in the last one, because in the last one, it seemed like just about everybody involved with that production was just scurrying away like rats, everyone trying to get away as fast as possible, and whoever was left behind took the blame for that thing. He's much better here, and I'm fine with him incorporated in these movies. I think what they really could have done to improve this film was just forget about the whole new girlfriend thing. If Megan Fox didn't want to be in it, fine. Just let him be single. I think it would have made this film considerably better. We wouldn't have had to worry about a girl constantly screaming, Sam! Every time something happens, or Shia LaBeouf constantly screaming, Carly! At the same time, Shia LaBeouf does scream a lot in these movies. But, I mean, it's not like it's his fault. The dialogue says, Optimus! Bumblebee! I mean, it's written in the script. He's got to do it. And that's my biggest issue with Dark of the Moon. It's that first half. Him trying to find a job. His girlfriend problems. Patrick Dempsey creating a love triangle. Can he make enough money to support his girlfriend? Despite the fact that the first half of this movie is rather dull, the last half is basically nonstop action, with the entire city of Chicago being taken over by the Decepticons. And that's where the film finally picks up, and we actually have a lot of Transformers awesomeness. And that's all I care about seeing. I don't go to these movies expecting anything else. And the fact that there's so much baggage constantly given to these films, it's annoying because I just want to see Optimus Prime slicing through people, punching people, and Megatron looking like a Mad Max motherfucker, and it looks fucking badass. That design is clearly very inspired by the Road Warrior, and I love it. Leonard Nimoy as Sentinel Prime is clearly a big wink to the fans because he voiced Galvatron in the original animated film. And here when he goes bad and switches sides to the Decepticons, it's like, yeah, that was incredibly obvious. I knew that from the very beginning. Like, why are we all surprised by this? No, this isn't surprising at all. And it's funny because watching the finale really reminds me of The Avengers, which came out a year after this. So part of me wonders if Whedon saw this and was in any way inspired to kind of weave that into his film, because we have alien ships coming out of the sky, an entire city being destroyed, everyone's running everywhere. It really looks like there's even a beam in the sky. This was one of the first beam in the sky movies, and now like every movie has a beam in the sky, because who doesn't love a good beam in the sky? And while I must admit this entire finale is actually quite a bit of fun and really technically well assembled, there are so many stupid moments sprinkled throughout. There's more drama with Patrick Dempsey and his crusade to help the Decepticons, and it's just such bullshit. I could not care less about it. I just want that character. Just why? They could have just removed all that from the movie. Seriously, just remove Patrick Dempsey and the girlfriend. Just movie would have been 10 times better, no doubt. But that being said, as I said, there's a lot of really stupid moments throughout this entire finale. Like the fact that Sam is basically a superhero. He survives so much. When he shoots his grappling hook into one of the Decepticons' eyes, he swings around with that thing for like a good 3 minutes. How he survived without many broken bones is beyond me. There are other times in this movie where he does things and I'm like, what? Where did that even come from? Like randomly during the finale, he just starts doing parkour, or Shia LaBeouf's stunt double does. And I'm just thinking while watching this, like, weren't you in high school a few years ago and you were looking for a job earlier? You got one with John Malkovich and now you're doing parkour through Chicago? This movie also has way too many winks at the camera, like Leonard Nimoy voicing Sentinel Prime saying,
"You simply fail to understand that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few."
Logic clearly dictates that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Was that like designed for people in the theater to go, I've heard that before! Oh, wow! I've heard that! Yeah! So in summation, the first half of this movie has so much unnecessary exposition constantly. Scenes with everybody just going, here's a bunch of photos of this, here's a file of this. This is what you need to know. I'm walking really fast in a corridor, and what I'm saying means something, and I'm walking fast, so you better listen, and I'm important. And then a bunch of unnecessary girlfriend stuff and Patrick Dempsey. Similar to the first film and the second one, there is a good 30-minute chunk of this movie that could be removed, and they could have just streamlined it down, and it would have been a really entertaining action movie. But that first half is just so bland. The second half gratefully does improve, and it becomes a really exciting action movie in Chicago, even though there's still a lot of superhero-y stuff that makes no sense. It's a Transformers movie. What really more can I expect? I'm going to give Transformers Dark of the Moon a C+. Definitely an improvement over the last one, but still not as good as the first one. It has a lot of really exciting action sequences, but still, it's just another really weighed down Transformers movie by a bunch of stuff that doesn't have to be in the movie. But I certainly don't hate this one. It's far more watchable than the last one, that's for sure. Guys, look forward to my review of Transformers The Last Knight. As always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.